Welcome to the OG Ty Podcast, where we will dive into everyday life in the trucking industry and share tips on how to make things better in your life. Let's get started. Here is your host, Tyrone Dawson.
Hello world, welcome to the OG Ty Podcast. This is your host, Tyrone Dawson. Today is Thursday, the top of the morning. Right now it's 2:30 a.m. and I am here to discuss some things with my fans. We are located on Spotify at the moment, so I'm talking to my Spotify listeners. Have you ever just sat down and just thought about some things? So I was just sitting here and I was just wondering, why do people pay property taxes? What's the cause of paying for property taxes? Back in the days, people would buy land. They would build houses on their land and that was their property. Years later, the government got involved. The government now owns a lot of land in this world. So if you purchase a home, your home sits on government land. And have you ever thought about, okay, I pay a mortgage payment and I also have to pay for property taxes. That's a whole separate bill. Where does the property taxes money go? So let me explain. So if you pay property taxes, you know what it does. It pays for pavement of streets, keeping the lights on around your neighborhood. It has a lot to do with upgrading in your city. Okay, it has a lot to do with paying police officers. When you pay property taxes, you are just not paying for that land. You are paying for the whole city of where you live at or the state. And also, if you pay property taxes, just say like Louisiana had a flood. Everyone lost everything. Everyone was put out of commission and they were placed in different cities and states. So what the government does is when they raise your property taxes, what they do is the whole country comes together, put a percentage of the property taxes in a pot. They pay for different cities, states, like floods. When Louisiana had that flood and everyone lost everything, for them to rebuild that city, the whole country had to come together with their property tax payments. They put a percentage away for your state, and they put a percentage away whatever damages for other states so they can rebuild that city back up. So when you pay property taxes and you are upset that you're making payments, just think about you are keeping the community at its best maintenance. That's why if you ever go to these community meetings, when you are in your community, you should have community meetings at least once a month. If you attend these meetings, they will explain to you what is coming up in your city. Now, if you have drug dealers, if you have guys that's doing illegal things or ladies doing illegal things, the community will come together and raise the attention of what's going on in your community, who is bringing the community down, and what should we do about it. This is where your property taxes money come from. Your property taxes money come in for the police to keep your neighborhood at a protection at a 100%. So if you are a homeowner, don't be afraid to call the police because your property taxes are paying the salaries of police officers, the community, the upgrade of the streets, the trash when they come every week to take your trash. That comes out of your property taxes. So if you are a homeowner, don't be afraid to go to these association meetings because you are paying for this. That meeting that you go to, your property taxes pays for that. So if you don't, or you have never went to these association meetings, you should attend because there's a lot of good things that comes out of these meetings on where your money's going and how are y'all upgrading the city or the street or the avenue that I live on. And this is what these little meetings, when they put them on your little door handle, when you first walk in the house and you see that little paper and it say meetings, go to that meeting because you are paying for it. Your property tax money is paying for those meetings. Your property tax money is paying for police salary. So when you call 911, you should be there because they work, or they should be there because they work for you. Money is power, people. Money is power, and you should know how powerful the money is that you are dishing out to these communities. Now, let's skip another subject. Let's talk about something else. Once again, this is one-on-one talk here at the OG Type Podcast. We are a community. We talk about greatness. We talk about real life situations. And we also may talk about a story on you. So you never know here at the OG Type Podcast. So don't be afraid to click, subscribe, hit the like button. However they call it. I don't know. I don't think they have that on Spotify. But if you do hear this elsewhere, hit the like button, subscribe. I think that's how it works. Now, car insurance. Let's talk about that. If you have a vehicle and your vehicle is paid for, you still need insurance on that vehicle. If you spent $3,500 on a vehicle, you still need to get insurance. And you have to get liability insurance. And that insurance policy covers the other person's car. So if you purchase a little, what they call a bucket, a hoopty, whatever, you have to get that car insured for the other car's sake. So you just can't buy a vehicle and just say, okay, I have a vehicle. You have to get that insured just in case you hit someone. That liability insurance will pay for that vehicle to get fixed. You go out here in your $3,500 car and you hit an $80,000 Mercedes Benz. How are you going to pay for those parts out your pocket? You maybe don't have the money. You maybe do have the money. But why would you take your money out of your pocket to pay for someone else's car when you have insurance? And your insurance would pay for that car. So young folks, don't be afraid to insure your car because it's a good situation. Every time you make a payment on your insurance is building up a stack of money. And that stack of money goes to that $80,000 Mercedes you just hit. And then on top of your money, they add money to it because they have to have like a certain type of amount of money to insure you just in case another car get damaged or medical bills or anything. So young guys, you riding around here in these nice cars and you don't have insurance. Just think about if you hit someone's child in that vehicle. Think about it. Do you want to help that child get better? So as a responsible person, you want to put yourself in responsible situations just in case things happen like that. Yeah, I know you don't want to pay it or whatever. So if you get liability, that means you're covering the other person's car. And then they have another insurance called full coverage. That's your car and the other people's car. That depends on. And if you do not make payments to the bank and you just bought your little car outright for $10,000, $15,000, you can get liability. That means it just fixed the other person's car. But if you get a loan from the bank and you're making payments, they want you to have full coverage insurance. So now if you get liability, they're going to want at least $575 down. And you're going to pay about $180 a month every time you get that vehicle. Now, if you purchase that vehicle, you get insurance, you go get your tags, and just say you cancel your insurance, but you keep those tags. That is a red flag, and they call that a F-19. So you just committed a F-19, and what that means is you are riding around with tags with no insurance. You can't beat the system, guys. They have it all in the computer. They know when your tags go dead, the insurance company calls the NVA. The NVA put a red flag. They contact you through mail. They not going to contact you by phone. They're going to contact you by mail. Hey, Mr. Dawson, your insurance no longer exists. What's going on? They will try to work with you. Now, a lot of people disregard the NVA, disregard it, and it's called an F-19. So what they do, they charge you by the day. Every time you keep those tags on that car and you're riding around, they're not going to call you. They're going to mail you at least 2 to 3 times. After the third time, it goes to a judgment. A judge for traffic court or whatever, they get that stamp and now they can charge you $20 to $30 a day for not having insurance. So now you're putting yourself in a hole. So if you do cancel your insurance, take the tags back. Park the car at your grandmother's house until you get your situation together. Because if you keep those tags on your vehicle and you do not have insurance, you're committing a F-19. And that bill can get very, very high. If you can't afford insurance, or just park the car in someone's yard until you get yourself together. Take the tags off, send it back to the DMV, NVA, or whatever they call it, and just let the car sit if the car is paid for. But if you're making payments, they want you to have full cover insurance because the bank needs to have their money insured, and that $80,000 needs to have their car insured. So if you're not in or ready for that type of payment on insurance, just don't get the vehicle. Get your a bike to ride around. catch a Uber, because that is a big responsibility when it comes to making those payments and also making those insurance payments. And you can get in a real situation where they will suspend your license. They will not insure you no more on other cars until you make those payments from the F-19 situation. Tyrone, how do you know this? I know this because I've been in those situations. I have been in situations where I had to learn the hard way. I was one of them hard-headed kids. I didn't want to listen to nobody. But as you get older and responsible and things start getting better, you start to see what you were doing wrong and you fix it. Once you fix it, you stay on top of it. Once you stay on top of it, it grows. It grows like legs. It gets bigger. And then once it grows, you realize how important that situation is in your life, because it does you good and it does the victim good. Just like if you get hit by a vehicle, you will want somebody to cover you. So just think about how you would feel if someone hit you with a car, damaged your $80,000 Mercedes. You will want that person to have insurance to take care of your situation. So be mindful and think about taking care of someone else. This is how we make the world go round, people. This is how we make things in life get better. Because right now, what I see, no one cares. No one. I hear people say, I just don't care. I don't care. And where did this mentality come from? Because in the 90s, everybody was happy. Everybody was happy to get a new car, pay insurance. They felt responsible. They felt like they were independent. Now, people steal your car, ride around like it's theirs. They don't care. And if you walk up with your own car, they will shoot you after you approach them about your vehicle. I don't know what's going on out here. I'm confused. Where did the old heads drop the ball with these youngins? Somehow we left a gap between the relationships of the fathers and the sons, the OGs and the youngins. That gap situation, it is voided. And I'm making my mission to at least put a spotlight on that void, because it's out of control. These youngins, they look at us OGs like we just in the way. And I know how they feel, because I used to feel the same way when I was a youngin. These OGs try to talk to you, but they walking around you smoking cigarettes. That's a red flag right there to them youngins. That shows weakness to them youngins when they see you smoking cigarettes. When you catching the bus. When you ain't got no teeth in your mouth. How you gonna give these youngins some lesson talk when you ain't even got but 3 teeth in your mouth? They looking right through that. They look at their favorite rapper on the studio, on the TV. They got this bling bling around their neck. These young, they got the $100,000 cars. They got the rented mansions. These youngins looking up to those guys. And then the OG come face to face with them. You gotta be on your game to be able to talk sense into these youngins. Because if they see one flaw in you as an OG and you try and preach that talk, first thing they gonna do is look at your tennis shoes. Second thing they gonna look at is your outfit. Third thing they gonna look at, what type of car you're driving. So if you don't have the tennis shoes, you know what I'm saying, lease You ain't gotta have all that name brand goofy stuff on, but at least look presentable for your age. So when you do approach these youngins and you're looking presentable for your age and everything makes sense to them, then it's gonna click in their head. Then they're gonna listen to what you have to say. Then you can be able to walk them to the next step of life and show them that it's a better way. Because right now, it's a big gap between the youngins and the OGs. This is why the youngin is up there shooting up everything, because they don't see leadership no more. Think about it, people. Where's the leadership? Everybody want to be leaders in these white corporate offices and be leaders to these white folks and show them that they could sell 20 more bananas than the next black person at these white corporate offices. But their kids is suffering from help. They don't even know how to relate to the younger generation because they so caught up in the white man's world. I'm not trying to preach this white and black separation, but you got to learn how to balance this out, people. You go in these executive office, you go in these courtrooms, you go in there, you could be the best person you are to them because these white folks watching you. You could put on a show for them. But when it's time to go back in the hood, you don't even know how to relate to your own people. That's a shame. That's a shame, Uncle Tom. So this is where the separation comes from when it comes from the youngest to the OGs. You can't even go back in your old neighborhood and kick it because you don't even know how to relate no more. What's going on out here, people? It's a disconnection. They take the OGs off the street. They either put them in jail or they put them in these factories and work them 20,000 hours a week. And then when it's time to go kick it with the people that they grew up with, they don't even know how to operate no more around them. And these youngins see it. You're walking around with hospital shoes on. You done lost yourself. Think about it. You lost you. You think your best friend don't see that? You think your best friend don't see that you done lost yourself into this white man? You give them all your time and your money. That is the disconnection between the OGs and the youngsters. So we just need to be able to put the pieces back together because our young generation are lost. And it starts with your children. It starts with your grandchildren. It starts with, your cousins, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your grandmother. It starts there. Now, if you just want to be Uncle Tom all your life, just stay out the way. We don't even need you down here. Stay out the way. You do what you do. You smoke your Marlboro cigarettes. You go around them. You sell yourself to them because you lost in this world, what we call society. You just stay out the way. But for the OGs who want to make a change out here in this community, it starts with your neighbor. It starts with the kid that you see at the grocery store. Just say hello. How you doing? You know what I'm saying? It starts with the guy or the female, the young person that works at the cash register at the Dollar Tree, at the food good. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing, communicate like you would communicate with your supervisor at work. Communicate the same way with them when you see them at the grocery store. They are children. Those are the future. Show them some respect. Get to know them. Because these kids are disconnected from reality. They are disconnected from the real world. They don't even know how to really talk to older people. Or if it ain't their aunts or their uncles or something, or whoever. Outside of that, they don't know. This is where older people should have a relationship outside of church. When you go to church on Sundays, you want to put the biggest hat on. You want to have the biggest hat in the room when no one can see nothing. You're blinding everybody. You think you are the queen of Israel with that big hat. But when you're in the real world, you ain't got that big thing on your head. You can't communicate with people. Or if you ain't got no suit or no tie on, you can't communicate. But when you in church and you got that monkey suit on, you the best preacher in the world. You could preach your butt off. But you take that suit and tie off and you go in the real world, you are scared of your own people. When you take that big old crown off your head, that big red hat with all that glitter, you don't even know how to react to the real people in the world. And that's a shame, people. It's a shame that you don't even know. But let's talk about another topic. Like I said, this is one-on-one talking here at the OG Type Podcast. We just talk about real life. Just having conversation. We ain't got time for nobody to be judging nobody. We just having conversation. Now, this is for my fellas. If you came across $100,000, you got everything you need. Your bills are paid for. And you just want to go car shopping. Now, would you take that $100,000 and buy a old school vehicle that been restored? Or would you go buy a brand new vehicle with 0 miles? Me, I'm a brand new vehicle type guy. I just like the feel of new cars when you hit the gas. Zzz, zzz. But I'm getting the fever and the flavor, and I'm just starting to feel these old vehicles that's been restored. They are just classics. Like I be in other states and they are real heavy on that. You go up to like New Jersey, they got like a car club. And like every Sunday they come out with these old schools. And it be like 20, 30 of them in a line, and they just coming through the highway, and you could see those Chevelles, those old Cadillacs, and they call those classic cars. And it just gives them that you could just see the 1970s, the 1960s, the 1980s. You could just see when they driving those cars. You could literally see that year of time when they're driving. And the vision in your head, you could just see them on roller skates coming up to your car, giving you your food. You at the drive-in car movie theater. It literally takes you out of this world of the year 2022 when you see, or 23, whatever year we in. When you see these old time cars, you could just see the 1950s. You could see the 1979. And this is what these old vehicles do when you put them on the road and you see them. But like I said, I'm a new car type guy. I just like to take the plastic off the seats, take all the little sticky paper off the GPS, smell that new car smell. You sit down on them leather seats, and them leather seats just grip you for the first time. You could feel the texture in those seats. So I just wanted to ask you guys, which one would you prefer if you had $100,000? The new vehicle, or would you go with an old school classic rebuild car? Myself, I'm going with the new vehicle. I'm sorry. It's nothing like that new vehicle first time. You know, you're driving it and you hit that gas and you can feel the power. But some people do not purchase new car vehicles. They purchase old schools. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to ask you guys, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer the new car or the used, upgraded, old school car? So just get back at me. Let me know how y'all feel. But guys, like I said, just one-on-one talking here at the OG Type Podcast. We just discuss real life situation. We get you back reinserted in the hip hop industry. We talk about real life situations. We talk about greatness. We talk about people making mistakes. And you learn from their mistakes so you won't make that mistake in your real lifetime. This is why I go over old stories about, things that happened in the 1970s and stuff. So you can learn. You can learn what not to do that they did because they didn't learn from somebody else. And this is the same situation about the OGs and the youngest. This is why you got to educate your mind so you will not be tricked out of your position. Because people are putting people in the trick bags. In this day and time, people don't care. But they send you to the left and just let you fall into the water. And their intentions all along was to throw you off the bridge. So be careful, people out here. But once again, here at the OG Type Podcast, I want to say thank you for listening. This is your host, Tyrone Dawson, and I just want to say peace.